Social Security is underfunded and time is running out. Everybody knows it, but how do we actually fix it? Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 real options Congress is weighing and what every single one of them means for you. By the way, if you stay until the end of this video, I'm going to share with you when I believe you should be taking Social Security, and the answer might surprise you. So let's take a look at the numbers. Over the next 75 years, the government expects $22.6 trillion in promised benefits that they're paying out to retirees, but only $17.4 trillion is expected to come in from payroll taxes. That leaves a $5.2 trillion funding gap. To close it, Congress would have to raise revenue, cut benefits, or quite possibly do both. So the first option is maybe they could raise the full retirement age. Now, currently, the full retirement age is 67 for those born in 1960 or later. And just to put that in perspective, when Social Security came out in 1945, full retirement age was 65. So it's really only moved 2 years over the course of that time, and people are living much, much longer. If Congress were to raise it to 68, 69, or even 70, that would reduce how long people collect benefits. So the pros here are that it saves money because you're not paying out full benefits at 67. You're going to pay them out later. The cons are that it hits blue-collar workers hardest. Not everyone can work until they're 70 years old, especially if you are in a physically demanding job. There's no way you're going to want to keep doing that until you're 70. Today, payroll taxes are 15.3%, 12.4% if we're just talking about Social Security. So the way these work is that every single employee pays 6.2% towards Social Security and another 1.45% towards Medicare, and then your employer does the same exact thing. They match it for a total of 12.4% to Social Security, 15.3% to both programs. So one proposal that's out there is to increase that percentage by at least 1% or higher. The pro is that it spreads the cost across the working population. The con is that it reduces take-home pay for those who are working, and it could impact small business hiring. It could impact small business purchases, right? I mean, you think about paying higher taxes, that is going to cause consumers to have less disposable income, which means they're going to spend less money, which means businesses don't do as well, which means the economy grows slower, and we continue to have this issue. The third option is to eliminate the payroll tax cap. So right now, only the first $168,600 of wages in a year is taxed for Social Security. So everything you make above and beyond that, there is no Social Security tax on that higher amount. If Congress were to remove that cap or raise that cap, it means that high earners are going to pay more. The pro is that it brings in more revenue from wealthy taxpayers so that we can continue to pay out benefits to retirees. But the con is that it disincentivizes high compensation, and it could reduce innovation and reinvestment. Last year, all of the increase in consumer spending came from the top 10% of income earners. The bottom 80% of income earners actually spent less money year over year. So if we want the economy to grow, we all need to keep spending. That's the way we keep our economy moving forward in the right direction. The fourth option is means testing those benefits. So means testing would reduce or eliminate benefits for wealthier retirees. So the more money you make, the less likely it is you receive benefits, or they start to get phased out. Or maybe it's based on net worth. If you have X amount of retirement assets, there would be an expectation that your benefits would be reduced by 10% or 20% or 30%, gradually, potentially phasing out benefits completely for the ultra wealthy people that live out there. The pro is that this focuses benefits on those who truly need them. The con is that it undermines the concept of Social Security as an earned benefit, something you paid for and you expect to receive something. It really essentially becomes welfare at that point in time. And option 5 is to reduce the cost of living adjustment. So currently, Social Security benefits, they're adjusted for inflation every single year. And if Congress were to reduce or change the formula, that could slow the growth of benefits, but that could become an issue for those people that really rely on Social Security to pay the majority of their lifestyle expenses. So the pro here is that it quietly reduces long-term liabilities, but the con is that it actually hurts those who are most vulnerable to rising costs. And when you're living on that fixed income of Social Security, and there might be a year similar to what we've recently experienced where inflation is up 8-9% year over year, and your benefits only go up by 1% or 2% per year, you're going to have a heck of a lot less paycheck left at the end of the month. And that creates its own set of issues for retirees. So given all that, what is most likely to happen? Well, it is highly unlikely that Congress picks just one of those. They'll probably do some sort of a combination. So I think it's likely that we see slight increases to retirement age. I would have no issue with them taking full retirement age from 67 out to 70, maybe even beyond over time. Because remember, people are living longer, and Social Security benefits were only designed to pay benefits for a few years of retirement, not for 20, 25, 30 years. And that's how long people tend to be living after they reach full retirement age. I think you could also see higher tax caps on high earners. So maybe that $168,000 cap goes up to $200,000, and then $225,000, and then $250,000 over time, as higher earners have to pay in more over the course of time. However, even though they're paying in more, they're not getting any additional benefits along the way. So it's really just helping to ensure that retirees continue to get their full benefit as opposed to a benefit with a 23% pay cut. And I think you'll also see tweaks to the cost of living adjustments, maybe just removing the peg to CPI, which is the inflation gauge. Maybe they go up by, up to a maximum of 3% per year. So they might move in lockstep with CPI, but in a year where there's 8-9% inflation, maybe there's a cap on that cost of living adjustment. The issue with actually making these changes in Congress is that none of these are fun for anybody in this country. I mean, we're talking about what we would label political suicide for anybody who comes in and says, all right, we're going to get the job done, we're going to fix Social Security. Because none of these are pleasant. They're all going to hurt somebody a little bit. However, if we don't do anything, everyone is going to be hurting because of that 23% pay cut in benefits that will arrive in 2033. As I promised you at the beginning of this video, I'm going to tell you when I think you should take Social Security. There's a lot of differing opinions on this. Some people think you should wait as long as possible because you get your guaranteed 8% step up every single year you don't take it. I believe the exact opposite. I think you should take your Social Security benefits as early as possible. Now, that's assuming you're no longer working, because if you take your benefits before full retirement age, and if you're still working, you're going to have to pay back some of those benefits, so it just doesn't make sense. So assuming you're retired or you're not working, you should take those benefits as early as possible. Why? I mean, you're talking about maybe $30,000, $40,000 a year in benefits, and that means you don't have to take that money out of your investment portfolio for those 5, 6, 7 years. You can let those funds continue to grow for yourself. Beyond that, what if you said you were going to wait until you were 70 to take your benefits, and God forbid, you only make it to 71 or 72? Well, now you depleted your portfolio over the course of that time. You got benefits for a year or two, and then it's all for nothing. So again, you really need to do a financial plan to ensure that it's right for your specific situation. But I would say the majority of clients that I work with, it makes sense for them to take benefits as soon as possible. Subscribe to this channel, like this video if you want to stay ahead of all of those changes. I will continue to keep you updated as potential solutions come out. As there's more narrative coming out of Congress, I will continue to update every single one of you on these changes as they happen. And if you want to keep building a retirement income strategy that works regardless of what Congress does, DM me the word FIX, and I'll reach out.